You claim that you want peace, but you continue to run back to chaos. You say that you want freedom, but you continue to find yourself right back in those shackles, right back in that bondage. And you tell yourself time and time again, I'm finally going to change. I'm finally going to get rid of this thing, this bottleneck, this stronghold in my life. Finally, I'm going to remove it from my life so I can live a fulfilled life. And yet, time and time again, you find yourself right back in the very same cycle. Well, guess what? You're not alone. You're not crazy. And there is something you can do about it. However, you must come to realize that the problem that you've been looking at or the problem that you have been perceiving is not the true problem. Most of us spend so much time looking at the wrong thing, therefore looking to the wrong solution, right? We look on the surface, we look on the external, thinking that we have an external problem to overcome. An example of this is, any type of chemical dependency. When somebody sees an individual going through, let's say, a heroin addiction, they think to themselves, wow, that person is hooked to heroin. And that's the end of the conversation. They think no deeper than that alone. Yet, in truth, when you go to most individuals and you look into their stories, the individuals who are, hooked to, let's say, heroin, you'll find that many of them, first and foremost, say that the drug has this feeling of warmth or comfort, right? That it gives them a sense of some type of warmth that they are lacking within their own lives. And when you start to dig even deeper into most of these individuals' childhoods, you'll see that they lacked that very thing. They were always seeking and looking for and desiring that coddling, that comfort that was supposed to come from a parent or a guardian within their life that they did not get. So when you look at most cases and situations of addiction, what most people look at is actually the external. Therefore, they can never get to the true solution because they're looking at the wrong thing. I say it's an equivalent of, looking for oil within a field, and you're digging and you're digging, you're hole after hole, and you can't find the oil. You know the oil is in that field. You're looking in the right place, but you're not looking in the right direction. You might be 2 millimeters off, but you still will not hit oil until you pivot those 2 millimeters. And what I'm looking to do at this moment is pivot you into the right direction by first and foremost telling you and confirming for you that yes, you are indeed addicted. You are an addict. And what you're addicted to is the emotions that you grew up on. What you're addicted to are the emotions that you find comfort in. And that does not necessarily mean it is a truly comforting emotion. As a matter of fact, most of our addictions are very destructive in nature. They don't feel good to us, but we're so used to them that we continue to perpetuate them. An example within my life is this. I started to find that I had this cycle of feelings of insecurity that I would look to bring up in relationships, or I'd look to bring up in friendships. I'd look to bring up in a multitude of ways within my life, not understanding I was addicted to them. However, each time there was some sort of peace, tranquility when the relationship, like things were going well, for some reason I would start constructing situations and circumstances in my head of things being unstable, things not being right, or this person might be, they might be shady, they might be doing something behind my back. I was looking for something to reaffirm that feeling of insecurity. And it wasn't because the relationship was making me insecure, bringing up insecurity. It was because I had insecurity, or I was addicted to the emotion of insecurity. And so I was looking to project it in a relationship. I was looking to get my fix in any way possible. And this is where a majority of us find ourselves. We find ourselves, in states of peace, right? And the peace feels uncomfortable because we're addicted to the chaos. Therefore, in a relationship where it is peaceful or too peaceful, we'll try to conjure up drama. We'll try to conjure up situations that bring up that sense of instability, that sense of chaos, that sense of upheaval, whatever it may look like, rage, or sometimes pulling away. Whatever it is that has been feeding us the longest and we've been feeding upon is the very same thing we will look to perpetuate within our lives. Therefore, we are addicted to the emotions that we are comfortable with, even if those emotions do not serve our highest good whatsoever, even if those emotions are destructive in their actual nature. Now, for you, it might not be, insecurity. It might not be a feeling of inadequacy or whatever it is, but there is something that continues to draw you back into a certain pattern of thought, into a certain pattern of actions that you want to eradicate, that for some reason continues to perpetuate itself. A great example of this is, an individual looking to get in better shape, or let's say the best shape of their life, right? They think that what they want to do is lose that 50 or 100 pounds, but in truth, they cannot lose it or keep it off, not because they don't have the right formula, not because it's so difficult to switch from, toxic foods to healthy foods. Yes, there is obviously a habit change that has to take place, but it's not rocket science to make this change. What most people struggle with is the identity aspect. What most people struggle with is the fact that they see themselves as unworthy. They see themselves as not deserving of that body, or not deserving of good health, for whatsoever reason that created that belief system within them. And so that belief continues to pull them back into any feeling or any sensation that they are not deserving. So putting on that extra weight might be their way of continuing to perpetuate the story within their own psyche that I am not enough, I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, right? You'll think that it's an issue with broccoli and brownies, right? When in truth, it's much deeper than the broccoli and the brownies. It's much deeper than you looking to make a change in your life on the external and to keep that change through willpower. Most of us are using the wrong tools, and we're looking in the wrong places to fix these deeper, much deeply rooted internal aspects of ourselves. These places and spaces that have not been visited since our adolescence, since our youth. Most of us went about life continuing to create or continuing to build upon those limiting beliefs that we had from childhood. And so what we do is, with any addiction, any habit per se, we continue to build and reaffirm and reaffirm and reaffirm. We manifest it into our existence, into our physical existence. And so we use that as an affirmation. Like if you had a belief that, you can't be safe in life, or there's scarcity in life, there's not enough to go around. If that was a belief you grew up with, then you look into your external surrounding, you look into your external world, and you affirm that belief with what you see. Then you say to yourself, this must be true, not knowing that your external came from the beliefs of those around you, right? There's somebody outside of your household who believes that there is plenty to go around and they're living that existence. But you may have grown up in a household where everybody believed there was lack, so they manifested that lack, and therefore you saw the lack and you said, this must be reality, this must be truth. That was your perception. And you started to build a worldview based on lack. Now you find yourself 30, 40, 50 years old, and you still have a psychology, or you still have a story, you still have a belief system that says there's not enough to go around. So you start to live your life in a scarcity mode. You start to seek scarcity. When money comes your way, you find a way to rid of that money, to eradicate yourself of that money as fast as possible, just so you can stay in that same emotional space of lack. You might get relationships after relationships and think to yourself, well, there aren't any good people, even though people are coming all around you. You got good people, good friends, good whoever, but you can't even see it. And therefore you will separate yourself from that because you have a narrative in your head that says there is not enough to go around of anything good, at least, of anything crucial or necessary within life. So you go about your life looking to reaffirm that story, until you make a conscious decision to be intentional about transforming and shifting your very story. It is only when you make that decision do things start to actually change. You can only transcend your current state of life, your current state of being, when you are willing to look at the root of an issue. I'm not saying to engage it fully, to be emotionally invested in it, to spend 10 years sitting on a couch talking about it. That's not what I'm necessarily alluding to. I'm talking about just being aware that these things are going on within you, being aware of the things that you were unaware of before or unconscious of before, the things that you might have repressed and suppressed over time, to start to look at those and see what the root of them are. And when you start to look at the root, it becomes far less scary, far less daunting, right? Most of us think we have to do 10,000 affirmations every day in order to transform, where we're at. Most times we struggle. Most times we have to overcompensate and use so much willpower is because we're not looking at the correct problem. When you look at the right problem, you will find the right solution for it, right? If I think to myself, the reason why I'm struggling in my, let's say, intimate relationship is because I don't feel I deserve, an intimate relationship. If I just take that because somebody told me that was a belief that exists and I start to work on that, but it's not my belief system, nothing will happen for me. Nothing will change. Nothing will transform. But if I start to take the true story of, I'm addicted to insecurity. So really it's a feeling of, am I safe in the world? It's a story of safety in life overall. If I start to look at that problem, then I can start to walk in accordance and walk in alignment with the true solution. Then I can actually start to solve that problem. And it will happen so fast because I have an intention to do so. If I'm not serious about it, if I'm just trying to look at things and pretend I'm doing the work or whatever it is, then so be it. It's going to continue to be a struggle. But when I have an intention to truly transform something, to overcome an addiction, right? Just like I did when I used to be, addicted to chemical substances, things of that nature. If I have the same mentality that I no longer want to have these things, I no longer want to carry this identity, then I could face the true problems that were going on within my life. Then I could look at what the actual aspects of my, I could look at where my true emotional body was. And I'm not going to get too deep into that right now, but I'm sure you can pick up what I'm throwing right now or pick up what I'm putting down. There is a part of me that is, fully thought. And so it engages thought, but then there is an emotional aspect of me that is the true me, the true essence of who I am. Like I can say one thing, but my energy or my energy in motion says something completely different. And it is only what I put out emotionally that I'm truly manifesting as my life. It is only what I put out emotionally that I'm truly manifesting into my reality. It is emotion that puts energy into motion. Right? Thoughts can create emotions, but not all thoughts are aligned with specific emotions. Like if I have a belief that there is lack in the world and I say I am rich, all it does is bring up my already belief of lack. Instead, I must work on the emotional change, the emotional shift. And that can only be done by doing the right work. Now, I am going to make content about the solution on this, but I must tell you that this is a process. This is something that you must find at least some sort of guidance, even if it's just your internal voice, your intuition, perfect. But you must truly be dedicated to it. However, I have dedicated my life to this very thing, to take individuals, to shift individuals from one state of being to another from within so their lives can change from without. And so I am opening up time on my schedule, opening up time on my calendar right now. I am doing one-on-one coaching. And if you want to book a session with me, the first one is complimentary just to see if we are even complementary, if we're right for each other. Then from there, we can make a decision to actually go forward with the coaching. Now, again, the way that you can reach this is, well, not again, I didn't even say it yet. The way that you can access my calendar is by going into the caption below, into the description below. Click on the link to my calendar, book a time that works for you and let's get to it. I love you. I appreciate you. Peace.